Yo, yo, yo. What's going on? See Alan and Anthony already with the BS. Starting off on a bad foot, man. Talking about Xbox's boss. I appreciate the thumbs up, though. Give folks a second to come in. Hey, let me know how my audio sounds, man. I'm trying something a little different. Yeah, let me know how I sound, Alan. Oof. About to play on Xbox. Hey, man, let me know how I sound, man. Hey, man, you win some, you lose some, Alan. Y'all about to go hold them L's. That's understandable. That's okay with me. Man, I just don't understand why you buy Xbox. There's no reason to buy Xbox, man. Especially if you got a gaming PC. Really, you don't even need a gaming PC, just a PC. I mean, you can stream Xbox games, both of them. I mean, you can always stream Halo and Gears, man, and Forza if you want to. Play it on PC. I wouldn't give Microsoft my money for that Xbox hardware. But don't worry, man. Give me a second. We're going to get into it. Share this out a little bit. See, go ahead and give folks a couple more minutes. Well, really, one more minute, then we're going to get into it. Yeah, man, I was trying to just share out the link a little bit, man. See, let me drop it on one more spot. All right, what's going on? Yo, yo. Yeah, man, happy to see y'all Xbox boys taking a little break from taking them L's, man, and hopping in here talking about a winner. But nah, man, I have no hate for the Xbox. I just it's confusing to me, man. Microsoft had a great generation with the 360, and now the Xbox One was, in my opinion, kind of a flop. They struggled, and then now you got the next gen, and Microsoft really they're buying a lot of studios, but they haven't actually addressed the problem, right? Problem is lack of exclusive games. I know how people feel about exclusives. You always hate exclusives when it's not on your platform. But nobody with an Xbox would be complaining if Microsoft was securing all these deals and had all these games. Nobody would complain. Nobody's ever like, you know what, man, it's not fair that we get all this stuff and nobody else does, right? Nobody thinks like that. So for the Xbox boys, I want to know what is the reason why for next generation, you're buying an Xbox. Because the biggest reason I've been hearing is people saying like, well, I'm gonna get both. And to me, it's like, well, why get an Xbox? Like once you have a PlayStation with us, like what are you gonna do on Xbox? Like maybe you got friends who also held a L and took an Xbox, or what's the reason? Like there's some Xbox 360 game you really want to play. What's up? Hey BG, I got the gold plated AK today for the Xbox. Multiple shots. But man, I'm just curious, man, because I hear people. It's almost irrational to me. Better graphics, more powerful and half the size. Okay, better graphics in what though? Like, what are you gonna play that looks better than on a PlayStation? Because one of the best looking games of last generation came out on PlayStation, and that's Ghost of Tsushima, and it wasn't even running at 4K. Now, it's so bad for Xbox. The fact that you can play the whole PS4 library on PS5, even if PlayStation didn't even come out with any PS5 games, Xbox still couldn't compete with the PS4 lineup running on the PS5. Because now you got God of War running at 4K 60. You got Ghost of Tsushima running at 4K 60. Horizon Zero Dawn running at 4K 60. Those games are still bodying, even on the next gen. Spider-Man at 4K 60. Like I mean, so you have a small box with no games to play on it. What's the benefit in that? See, oh man, let me shout out to everybody in the chat, man. I know it's a small, I know it's enough of us to fit at a small table in here, but shout out to my baby Ashley. Shout out to Alan. Shout out to my cousin, Schaefer. Xbox don't even have a new controller. LOL, the DualSense is a selling point by itself. Facts, man. Microsoft, and this is no shade. This is not being, facetious or nothing. Microsoft really gives you no reason to buy an Xbox. They're cannibalizing the Xbox. There's no reason to buy a new one. Like it's why? Like it's so bad they had to discontinue the Xbox One X because when the Series X comes out, if all you're saying is yeah you can play at 4K 60, well you were saying the same thing about the One X. Yeah, it's the most powerful, this and that. Like what's the difference between the One X and the Series X? It's not much difference. That's the problem. Like when you got to remove products to create a big enough gap to convince people to buy your new ones, you're not trying hard. The Xbox is literally a black box. They didn't put no color on it, cuz they use one print cartridge. It's literally zero effort in making the Series X. Now, that's just from the outside looking in. That's just how it is, man. So like I say, it being more powerful, that's true. But if I say something's more powerful, but there's nothing to demonstrate that power, like there's no game that looks better than what's on PlayStation. So now what? Like if y'all got something, let me know. I'm still, still scratching my head. Anyway, in that same vein, though, a lot of embargoes are going up today. The Nvidia 3070. I don't know if y'all been keeping up with the 30 series cards. It's been kind of an issue. We've been having some manufacturing issues and supply chain issues. But this 3070 card is supposed to be like the I don't know, it's supposed to be the end all be all. Reason being, it's supposed to be as powerful as actually supposed to be more powerful than a 20, I think they said a 2080 Ti, and it only costs $500. And you have some reviewers that are testing it out and putting it through its paces, comparing it to the 2080 Ti, and in several instances it is better for $500. There is like a small edge case scenario, like if you're going to use it for for rendering video or video editing, it has less VRAM. It only has 8 gigs versus like the 11 or 12 on the 2080 Ti. And they say that that bottleneck is kind of, puts it behind the performance. But outside of that, for gaming and other stuff, $500 for a brand new 30 series card with, ray tracing capabilities and can play in 4K, but is a 1440p monster. That's a crazy proposition at $500. Because the 2080 Ti when it came out was like 1200, I think, like 11 to 12. So if they've made that if they brought that performance down to that price point, because the 2080s just came out a couple years ago, like maybe 2 years ago, maybe. So they haven't been out that long. So they're making some big strides over there. Feel kind of bad for AMD. That's rough. But yeah, man, but keeping it going, we also had a couple of other releases. It's Techtober, as everybody knows, and there's a lot of phones trying to slide in under that under the rope at the last minute. And a couple of phones we had released in the past week or so. We had 2 more OnePlus Nord line phones that were released. It's the Nord, I believe it's the Nord 10 5G and the Nord N100, or the N10 and N100. I got feelings about these phones because a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, OnePlus is getting back to their heritage, to their roots, their affordable phone. OnePlus has always made affordable phones, but they never made like cheap phones. Like OnePlus phones have always, no matter what the price point, except for like that one phone, the OnePlus X, they've always had like a flagship processor in their phones. And so now these phones have like a 400 series and I think a 600 series processor in them. It's kind of weird to me because at this point, it don't matter what those cost. Like those are like, even with all of OnePlus's optimizations, those are like 1 year phones at most. Those phones are not going to age well at all. So at that point, if you're paying for a phone, like I say, I don't know what these phones cost, but you've got brand new phones that cost, $300-400 that are running better processors, like these 765G chips that are in these phones. TCL just dropped the phone, a 5G joint, and it's running a 765, and it's $399 with all the 5G, like even the Verizon ultra wideband 5G. So it's that's kind of, I don't know. I think they missed the mark on that. I think they just should have just brought the OnePlus Nord, the 765G variant, 90 hertz OLED, and just kind of stop there. I think $500 is. I think that's a good price point because especially once you start getting on the used market and you put a sale on it, like you can bring that phone down to lower prices, but to bring out a phone that just, like I say, once you throw a 400 chip in something, to me it's not a good look. It's just not. It's not long-term performance. Even if you update the software, it's not going to age well. The hardware is dated, like milk. Like it's going to spoil. Because the 800 series processors just age better. But let me know what you guys think. Specifically, I want to know what you guys think about the I don't know, I hate to bring up the iPhone again, but what do you guys think about the iPhone mini? Because I don't really hear anybody, I've yet to see anybody review one. I yet to see anybody really talking about it as an option. Like I know that everybody's recommending the 12, but just kind of in that price point, the sub, well, I guess if I throw in the 12, you got to say sub $800 price range. But what is the most bang for your buck in that sub $800 price range? What do you guys think? Because for me, I think it's hard to pass up either an iPhone or a Samsung just because of the ecosystem. But once you get down to like $400, it gets pretty interesting too. You got some cool phones around there like the TCLs. That 10 Pro has a beautiful screen, beautiful build. The One Plus, if they would bring the Nord here, that'd be great. To be honest, I really think that'd be great. But we're gonna keep it rocking. We'll check. Yeah, no more comments. So something else I want to talk about. I want to talk about today. I know people are all in the all in the uproar about the iPhone not having a charger, right? But because I was having a conversation with one of my homies, and he was like, "Yeah, you really don't need a charger," and trying to justify them not giving you a charger. And we all know how Apple does, or how things go when Apple does it. Once Apple does it, other people get on board. So now they've been talking about the next Samsung's not including charging bricks. They already skipped the headphones this year in a note. They skipped the dongle. You had to actually reach out to Samsung and request the headphones. So I can see them trying to get rid of the charger too. Kind of running that same gimmick, like, oh, the landfill and the waste and all that stuff. I mean, the the logic kind of doesn't make any sense to me, right? So if I say I'm not going to give you something because they all end up in landfills, to me that means that you don't have it. You're throwing it away. They're in landfills. So why would I stop giving it to you? Why would I assume you have it because they're all in landfill? Is I don't know. I don't understand that logic. But do y'all really care about that? Do y'all really care about having a power brick in your, in your with your phone? Like is Apple on to something, or is that just kind of them being courageous and removing some stuff, and because they Apple, people just gonna suck it up and take it and go out and spend whatever on the iPhone. That's something else I'm curious about. I'll tell you my take on it. It's garbage. Like I can't provide you something and it not include everything you need to operate it. Right. So if I go out and I buy an iPhone, I have to bring my own charging brick. So now I have to like I'm a tech reviewer and I don't just have charging bricks everywhere. Like once I get back to the house, I can scrounge up one and but like if I go out and I buy the phone and I'm out and about, I'm on a trip or something like that, that's inconvenient. I think that for what they're charging, that's something that should be included. You know, that's just a part of that value proposition. And at this point, I feel like Apple has kind of surpassed criticism as being a value proposition. People try to say like, "Oh yeah, it's worth this, it's worth that," but it's at the end of the day, it's almost like Jordans. Like nobody buys Jordans and talks about oh, it's a superior basketball shoe. That's why I pay 250 or 300 for it. Like no, people want it because it's got the logo on there. And I think we're kind of getting there with the Apple products. Like they're getting into that um, kind of that tier that where they're above criticism and comparison. Because when you talk to somebody who owns an Apple product and likes it, usually they don't give you a reason that's rooted in um, not necessarily logic, but a reason that's rooted in experience or facts, right? A lot of times they'll say like, oh, it's just better, and you ask them what else they've used, and a lot of the people haven't used anything else. They might be lifelong Apple people, and that's fine. But when you start trying to convince me that it's better, like now we're comparing, and most people aren't, they're not ready to do that. Oh, I forgot, Apple Allen is back. Apple Allen back in the building. But you got the blue iPhone. You got the 12 or the 12 Pro. Which one did you get, Alan? Because I know they started shipping those out last week. I'm just curious. I'm not gonna lie. It's a beautiful phone. Like that gold. That's the best design that Apple has had. That the 12 Pro. Okay. Yeah, I think that one's. I don't know. I think it's hard to pick the 12 Pro over the 12. unless you're really into camera stuff, because they're basically the exact same phone, like same build, size, screen. Them putting the OLED on the 12 this year is a big deal. Like I think that 12 is gonna fly off the shelf, especially at that price point. Hey mama. Mama's in the chat. What's going on? Says sound good. Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, man. I hate to talk about iPhone, but it's I don't know, it's a polarizing product for me. Mm. Yeah, I'll leave iPhone alone for a second. But yeah, so I don't know. Hey mama. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys heard about the some sad news with Samsung. So the former, I think he was the former CEO of Samsung, and he's kind of the one that's been given credit with kind of getting Samsung to where they are, making them a global brand. But he actually passed away at 78 last week. So I think that's going to be, as of right now, I don't think he had much influence in Samsung, but that was kind of some sad news because if you look at Samsung, we see Samsung Electronics, which is just one kind of aspect of Samsung. But if you look in Korea at Samsung's business model, they make everything. It's ridiculous everything they make. If you want a Samsung, obviously over here, if you want to have a whole Samsung kitchen, you can do that. Stove, fridge, microwave, oven, washer, dryer, TV, laptop, phones. That sounds like a lot, right? But when you go to a country and there are Samsung bulldozers building buildings, and they're using, you know, Samsung dishware and all this, like they make so much stuff. Like he diversified that company so much. It's kind of crazy. So I think that from a symbolic standpoint, that's gonna be a kind of a sad blow for Samsung. Um, I don't see it impacting the business at all though. What else? Speaking of Samsung, also I don't know why we just got the Note 20 out. It's been out for like a little over a month. Already talking about the S21, and they're talking about how it's not going to have a charger in the box and some other stuff. And I'm like, man, these phone cycles are just going too fast. They're talking about it being released like late January, early February, which is crazy. I mean, like I said, we just got the Note 20. It's still cooling off. They just released the S20. I said the whole name one time. They just released the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE 5G. Um, and that at that price point, I think is a great value proposition because it gets you into the whole Samsung ecosystem. But the S21, I don't even know at this point like what you want on there. Like what could they put in there? I think the Snapdragon 875 might be announced. Like it might be a thing already. So I don't know if that's the motivation or what, but it's really, I don't know, it's getting out of hand, man. Too many devices, too fast, especially with COVID going on. Let stuff breathe a little bit and give people time to recover. Especially, I don't know how well it's gonna do, especially with you got Black Friday coming up, you got Christmas coming up. So I don't know. Sean O in the building. What's going on, bro? Appreciate you for stopping through. Always showing support, man. But yeah, Sean says I know you're an avid watcher, man. I just touched on kind of Apple and they're not including stuff in the box and how people actually feel about it. Because I know how I feel about it from a value proposition standpoint, but do people really care about that? Talked about the NVIDIA 3070 being kind of like not the end all be all card, but like an amazing card for the price if it can really perform the way NVIDIA is talking about. Six Lewis in the building. What's going on, bro? Yeah, man. Trying to change it up a little bit, talking game consoles. I already ranted about Xbox. kind of, kind of crapped on the Xbox users a little bit. Alan and BG were in here. But then talked about the Nvidia 3070 being at $500. Mark, what's going on, bro? What up? What up? Appreciate y'all for coming through. But yeah, man, I was just asking if you really, does anybody really care that there's no charger in the box for the iPhones? I mean, I know that they're Apple products and people are going to buy them regardless, but, do people really care about that? Like, at all? Because you know what's going to happen. The whole industry is going to follow suit, and then nobody will include charging because Apple is lagged behind in charging tech. They put no emphasis on charging technology, really, and trying to improve that. So now they're going with the MagSafe wireless charger. But then with that, you got to buy a brick. So it's like, you know, you still got to, like, Apple creates a problem and then sells you a solution. So they got rid of the headphone jack and said that, oh, Bluetooth is the future. But it's only the future if you pay them $160. And if not, you used to just be stuck with lightning earpods and you couldn't plug them in anything else. And they took them away. And so you really had to pay Apple if you wanted to be able to, use your phone hands free. And now they're doing the same thing with the charger brick. So I don't know. Since Lewis says, to me, it don't bother me because I still have my old ones, but we're not the general consumer. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Apple's logic about, these landfills that are filling up with, power bricks. I'm like, if all the power bricks are in the landfill, then how can they be in the landfill and at my house to the point where I don't need a new one? Like, I don't just throw it, like, I don't get a new phone and I'm like, okay, I got a new power brick. I'm throwing away the old one. Like, I don't know I don't know who does that. Like, I have a drawer full of power bricks and I'm not normal. So, like, a person who buys one phone every 2 years, they don't have power bricks like that. Like, one brick every 1 to 2 years. Like, imagine that. Like, the people in this group, like, all of us get new phones like multiple times a year. Probably have multiple phones right now. Like, you can never have enough of those. And so for them to decide, yeah, we've made enough. We're not going to make any more. That's crazy. Sean says they do care, but they always accept every change from Apple. Sometimes putting your foot down is a good thing. Yeah, I agree. Um, that's kind of how I feel, man. I feel like Apple is kind of beyond criticism at this point. People are going to buy their stuff regardless. So Apple kind of does what they want to do. It says Apple's becoming more and more anti-consumer. And that's funny, man, because I think that overall, they become more consumer friendly just because that whole Steve Jobs mantra of one device for everybody and you gonna take whatever come out this Apple box. That's those days are kind of gone, but now, I mean, they dropped literally they dropped 4 new iPhones starting at $699. So they're giving people more options, and they even, like I said, the iPhone 12 at $799 or $830, which is what it is if you're getting it unlocked. That phone having an OLED screen and the same exact build materials. Well, not the same exact, but same build quality as the Pro versions or whatever. I mean, that's something. That's a step. That's a step toward being more consumer friendly. But then they take like a small step backwards. It's like they kind of like glaze over their anti-consumer stuff by making certain consumer friendly moves. So like the no power brick. Like, you used to spill about older environment. But you still, like, if you are the average consumer, which means you keep your phone for 2 years or more, when you go buy an iPhone, you will have to buy a new power brick. Just because the cable that they give you in the box has a Type C port on the end of it. And all the old ports, the old power bricks have a Type A port on them. Unless you bought an 11 or 11 Pro, you do not have an Apple charging brick with a Type C port on it. So Like I said, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Let's see. That guy Ricardo, what's going on, bro? He said same bricks since original Galaxy S. Yeah, man. Like people aren't just throwing away their power bricks like that. Like I want them to show me this landfill they talking about with all these power bricks. Because to my knowledge, I have a brick in every outlet of my house just because wherever I am in my house, if I want to charge up, I want to be able to pop something in right there, man. And now they're proposing the same. They still haven't solved the problem. They created a problem. Like now you got to find a brick. So now you're gonna have to buy a brick. Like they make more money, but it's not gonna help you reduce the number of power bricks that you have because you still need a power brick to charge your phone. That's crazy. See, Mark says they should have included a Type A, the lightning cable in the box. Yeah, man. Like they are literally steering you towards a certain solution, and the solution is buying a $30 power brick from Apple, the fast charger one. I think it's like the 18 watt or 20-watt brick or something like that. Uh, Mark says, but the 64 gig base. And you're right, that 12 is starting at 64 gig base. Like I said, man, a couple of consumer friendly moves, and then they slide in one anti consumer move, man. 64 gigs of storage on a phone that's shooting 4K 60 video is trash. Uh, Six Lewis say they're taking everything out of the iPhone because as much hate and criticism they get, that's more publicity for them, and they're still selling like crazy. Yeah, man. For Apple, any publicity is good publicity, and that's free, right? People want to talk about that now. Whenever any phone is released, you see it in the reviews already. People review another device. If it's got a power brick in there, guess what people saying? Gig. Yeah, definitely, man. 128 should be the base, no matter what. Like these file sizes and these pictures. Like think about it. You're doing 4K 60 video. Now they're throwing in the Dolby HDR stuff. You have the little 3D motion picture stuff. Those pictures are a lot bigger than regular pictures. So it's I don't know, 64 gigs is a slap in the face. Sean says Apple's like LeBron, overhyping the same product. It's like overhyping someone who won 4 rings out of 10 attempts. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's hard to poor LeBron, man. Poor LeBron. Look, LeBron is a great player, but he gets so much. He gets hate because people compare him to Jordan. Two things can be true at the same time. Right? Jordan can be great and LeBron can be great, but just the way that people compare stuff, it can only be one. Right? Who is the greatest? Like it don't matter if they were both great. Who's the greatest? And so now you got to pick one, and so that means kind of tearing down the other person. Because to be honest, man, Jordan had a team of Hall of Famers, man. I mean, that's tough. Would Jordan have won with that last Cavs team that LeBron played on? I don't know. Because coming out the East is easy, but that West been rough. So now LeBron over there with the big dogs, and he got to play them every game. So I don't know, man. Sean says still on his helmet and the media too. I'm not sure what you mean by the helmet, man, but yeah. So my baby say Jordan would have won. Hey, if anything, I'll say this: Jordan demands certain things of people around him, right? I, he just demands it. Like he puts a fear in you. He's like, I got to go out here, and I got to play my role. I got to do my job. LeBron definitely has more of an air of whatever. Like LeBron has seen more of throwing temper tantrums, whereas Michael Jordan was a motivator, right? He motivated everybody around him to, play better than they could, whether it was through trash talking them, you know, a lot of guys say he was an a-hole or whatever. So I mean, Jordan wanted to win at all costs, right? He didn't care about your feelings. He came in to do a job, and his job is to win. His job ain't to play. All right, he ain't coming so everybody gets play time. He coming to win. And if you ain't doing your job, he gonna take over. Because at the end of the day, he gonna win. Like Jordan, like just mentally, he's a monster. Like there's no comparing. I think Kobe had some of that, but Kobe wasn't as, in my opinion, Kobe wasn't as prolific at inspiring other people around him. Kobe was more prolific at taking over the game. And I think those are two things that LeBron is he lacks. Right? He has the ability to take over a game, but he doesn't come into every single game. Every time he picks up the ball, he doesn't have, you could tell he doesn't have that mentality that I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. Like he'll play a lot of minutes, but he's not going to take over a game like that. Like the way that Kobe and Jordan went on to do, he not doing that. Sean says Jordan can win with any team LeBron been to. LeBron's competition is weak AF. Yeah, man. Like I said, well, LeBron's in the East. LeBron wouldn't have had as much success. Obviously he been in the West for a couple of years now. He wouldn't have had the success if he was having to come out the West. The West has just been rough. The East has been, arguably easier to pass, for a while now. Mark says Jordan was so motivated he had to retire twice. Huh? I think Jordan was kind of at the point where he didn't want to go out, on a dud. He kind of wanted to go out on top. And he had some other stuff. If you watch this, I forget the name of the documentary, but if you watch it, he had some other stuff going on that kind of motivated him to kind of explore other avenues in life. But he was, basketball was still his baby. Whenever Jordan started playing for the Wizards, this man just loves basketball. But he loves winning even more. Let's see. Mark says, "Yo, Sean, what LeBron do to you?" Sean said, 2000 Eastern Conference equal weak AF. Jordan would have ate that for breakfast. Yeah, I'm better to The Last Dance. Yeah, if you watch The Last Dance, it gives you a lot of insight, especially at like the timeline of things and events and stuff. It's pretty informative. It's one of the best documentaries I've seen. Just the way that they weave information together. Um, it's pretty good. I'm almost positive everybody in here right now has watched it already. But yeah, but yeah, Jordan would have. Yeah, the East would have been the East would have been a snack for Jordan. Like the fact that LeBron basically took the Cavs to the finals. Like Jordan would have ate the East for breakfast. Like no sweat. Once again, that West though, man, it was a couple of whole teams coming out the West, and that was kind of one of the things, one of the issues Jordan had. Like when he played a whole team, like a solid team, it was problematic, and that's the way it's supposed to be. You think about Jordan playing them Pistons, man. It was beating the brakes off of him. Jordan had to get a squad. You got to have at least two strong players, and like a couple of role players. Even if everybody's not a superstar, just for balance, just for consistency's sake, you got to have that. Mark says the overhype, the sausage fest from his stands, and the disrespect to the legends. Hey man, I think that, like I said, I think two things can be true. Jordan can be great, and LeBron can be great. So I think we're just so used to, kind of, in order for one person to be great, you got to tear down the other one. They both great. Nobody's gonna argue against that. Now, who's the best? That's even hard to tell. I think it's impossible to say, like definitively, who's the best. I think people have different stuff that's important to them, and so that kind of influences how they feel. But you Sean say, I hate bronze sexuals too, but that's just me. Yeah, and that I understand that because I feel the same way about Apple people, not people that own Apple devices, Apple people, right? So if you if the second you find out I don't have an Apple device, you start giving me crap and start telling me how much better Apple is and all this stuff, you're an Apple person, right? You're like that is how you identify yourself. That is what you take pride in is being an Apple person. It's not rooted in logic. It's not rooted in experience. It's not like, well, I tried this and I tried that and I like these things about Apple. Like this is why I like them. This is why they get my money. Like no, you feel like you're part of a no, you're part of the in crowd or you feel like you cool or whatever. And so the only way for you to kind of justify it is to tear down something else, man. Let's see. Mark says, Sean, we can't knock a player for the era they play in. Sean says, uh, they started that better than Jordan and Kobe since he was rookie. No, in his senior year. So, um, Bron been a man since he got in the league, though. I mean, he been a grown man since he came in the league. Jordan took some, he still has some molding to do, right? He needs some coaching. Like he was good, but Brian been a grown man since the day he got in the league. Um, and this depends on what you want to use to measure that by. If you want to use championships, you know, percentage wins in the championships, or MVPs in the finals or whatever. There's certain stuff that he gonna lose, but certain stuff that he'll win there too. Mark says Jordan is the go for me, but I just don't understand the need to tear down LeBron. Yeah, and I think that man, it's sort of like Sean saying, I don't think it's necessarily the hate is for LeBron. I think it's fans like those people that just you know super rowdy and rambunctious about LeBron. It gets annoying, man. If you like something, you like it. That's cool. If I don't, that's cool. But don't if I like something different than you, man, it is what it is. You know, if I think something great. Let me live, man. I don't understand it. But all right, man, it's been coming up on 45 minutes. So we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna read Sean's comment, then we're gonna head out. Sean said, Jordan never had no privilege like LeBron during the start of the NBA. They boycotted shoes that people are still wearing to this day. Yeah. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. It's a different era, it's a different time. I do tip my hat to LeBron though. He's never been caught up in no drama, no mess. He's been in the NBA. He's been making millions of dollars since he was a teenager. Because a teenager, a child. When the last time you seen a teenager? Think about it. That dude, give him millions of dollars. Him making all the right decisions, making the right choices. It's very very low, man. It's very low. Like so, I do tip my hat to LeBron from that standpoint, especially in the age of the internet, where there are people looking actively. It's not just reporters you got to worry about. It's everywhere you go. Every individual is now a reporter. Every person got a video camera. Every person got an audio recorder. So in a day and age like this, to still have a relatively clean image, no, you got to be doing it. It's not enough money and not enough, because everybody got haters too. You can drive a Ford Focus and work at Waffle House. It's somebody that don't like you and will be willing to record you doing something so they can portray a certain image of you. So like I said, I do like that about LeBron. Not saying that Jordan wasn't, but yeah, I don't know, to each his own, man. But once again, appreciate y'all for stopping through. We're gonna go ahead and cut it off. We'll be back the same time next week. Um, Go ahead and make sure you guys share this out as well, man. I appreciate y'all for joining. Till next time. Peace.